The Time Machine Detailed Summary.
The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, first published in 1895, is one of the earliest and most influential works of science fiction ever written. The story explores the nature of time, the future of humanity, and the consequences of social inequality. Through the experiences of the mysterious time traveler, Wells presents a powerful vision of a distant future that reflects the social anxieties of the Victorian era. The story begins in the home of an English scientist known only as the time traveler. During a dinner with several guests, including a doctor, a psychologist, a journalist, and a narrator, he introduces an unusual idea. He proposes that time is not simply something that flows forward, but rather a fourth dimension, much like the three dimensions of space. According to his theory, if a machine could move through this dimension, a person could travel into the past or the future. To demonstrate his theory, the time traveler shows his guests a small model of a time machine placed on a table. When he activates the mechanism, the miniature machine suddenly disappears, convincing the audience that it has traveled through time. The guests are skeptical, believing it to be a clever illusion. However, the time traveler insists that he has built a full-sized machine capable of transporting a person through time. A week later, the narrator and the same group of guests gather again at the time traveler's house. This time, the host arrives late, dirty, exhausted, and injured, as if he has experienced something extraordinary. After eating and resting, he begins to tell the story of his incredible journey. The time traveler explains that he entered the machine and pushed the controls forward, sending himself into the distant future. As the machine accelerated through time, he saw the sun racing across the sky, days passing in seconds, and the landscape changing rapidly as centuries flew by. Eventually, he stopped in the year 802-701 AD. In this distant future, the time traveler encounters a strange and peaceful society. The surface world is inhabited by small, delicate, childlike people called the Eloi. They live among beautiful ruins and lush gardens, spending their days playing, eating fruit, and enjoying a seemingly carefree life. The Eloi appear friendly but intellectually weak and physically fragile. They show little curiosity about the time traveler or the world around them. While exploring the area, the time traveler discovers that his time machine has disappeared. Without it, he is trapped in the future. This forces him to investigate the mysterious society of the Eloi more carefully in order to find his machine and return home. During his exploration, he befriends a small Eloi woman named Weena. He saves her from drowning in a river, and she becomes his loyal companion. Through Weena, he begins to understand more about the gentle but helpless nature of the Eloi. However, the time traveler soon learns that the peaceful surface world hides a darker reality. At night, strange creatures called the Morlocks emerge from underground tunnels. Unlike the Eloi, the Morlocks are pale, ape-like beings adapted to life in darkness. They maintain large underground machines and seem to control the infrastructure of this future world. Gradually, the time traveler realizes the horrifying truth about the relationship between the two species. Long ago, humanity had divided into two classes, the wealthy upper class and the working class. Over countless generations, this social division evolved into two entirely different species. The Eloi are the descendants of the privileged elite who once lived comfortable lives above ground. The Morlocks are the descendants of laborers who worked underground to maintain industry and machinery. In a disturbing twist, the time traveler discovers that the Morlocks now prey on the Eloi. The once dominant upper class has become weak and helpless, while the oppressed workers have evolved into the dominant predators. The Morlocks maintain the surface environment, but secretly use the Eloi as their source of food. Determined to escape, the time traveler searches desperately for his missing machine. He eventually finds it locked inside a large stone building that appears to be a museum or palace. Suspecting that the Morlocks are trying to trap him, he prepares a plan to retrieve the machine. While traveling through a forest with Weena, the time traveler attempts to scare the Morlocks by creating fire. Unfortunately, the flames spread uncontrollably through the forest. In the chaos, Weena disappears, and the time traveler is forced to flee alone. He later realizes that she likely perished in the fire, which fills him with guilt and sadness. Returning to the mysterious building, the time traveler manages to open the structure and retrieve his machine. However, the Morlocks attempt to capture him at the last moment. Just in time, he activates the machine and escapes into the far future. Curious about the ultimate fate of Earth, he travels millions of years ahead. In this distant era, the planet has become a cold and silent wasteland. Strange crab-like creatures crawl along dark beaches beneath a dim red sun. The once vibrant world is now nearing the end of its life. The time traveler travels even further into the future and witnesses the gradual dying of the sun and the final decline of life on Earth. Horrified by the desolate future, he quickly returns to his own time. After finishing his story, the guests struggle to believe what they have heard. The time traveler then demonstrates the machine again and departs once more into time, promising to return. However, he never comes back, leaving only his story and the mystery of his disappearance.
Through this extraordinary journey, H.G. Wells explores themes of social evolution, class division, technological progress, and humanity's uncertain future. The Time Machine remains a timeless reflection on the consequences of inequality and the fragile nature of civilization.